The last few months on the internet, I noticed there's been lots of discourse going on about modern day gaming. Lots of discussions about how gaming is no longer what it used to be. That gaming is being ruined by corporate greed. And yes, there's lots of truth in those discussions. Monetization being prioritized over fun gameplay is definitely not a lie. Not even full-price single-player games are saved from the flood of corporate greed.
Nightmare.
Yet most of these discussions seem to be one-sided, purely talking about how gaming evolved in a negative direction while ignoring the many different aspects where it has actually evolved in a positive way. I get it, collectively complaining about something is way more fun, but sometimes the good aspects also deserve to be praised. So because of that, I'll be reaching out to my bloomer side instead of my doomer one for once, and I will be presenting the 4 bright sides to modern day gaming. Gaming is the best medium in which to experience a story. That's my opinion, but I think a lot of people would agree with me. But why is that? Well, I'd argue it's because it's the most immersive one. No other medium lets you experience a story and explore a fictional world as if you were a part of it, by either making your own character or controlling a predefined character or characters in a story. And games are getting more and more immersive to this day, because as technology improves, so does the way games are able to drop you in a more and more realistic looking world. Yes, I can already hear you think, modern games might have better sound, better visuals, better acting, animations and so on, but that doesn't automatically make them better games. And yes, I agree, it doesn't automatically make them better. If the gameplay sucks, the gameplay sucks. No lick of paint will ever be able to fix that. But on the other hand, games that do have a really strong gameplay core absolutely do get improved by utilizing modern day technology, and they are better than how they used to be. Let's take a look into the past. Games way back in the day used to be really strong in one department. And yes, it's the one that mattered most, gameplay. It was all the developers cared about, creating a fun game while at the same time dealing with the huge technological constraints of the time. Games back then were a completely separate medium from, let's say, animation, TV or cinema. There were some games that already from the very start presented some type of narrative, some type of characterization, but all of that was an afterthought. The game industry did their own thing, while the storytelling based mediums did theirs. Some would say that's a good thing, that gameplay is all that should matter, but I disagree. Adding story, adding character and a narrative can make a game become so much more, and a studio called Squaresoft agreed. They believed that games could present the same thing as an anime or a movie, for example. Epic fights, emotional moments, character development, big explorable cities, huge set pieces and battles. And despite the limited technology that they had to deal with, they did find ways to make it work, to turn their games from just being small games into huge immersive adventures. Because of limitations, lots was still left to the player's imagination. Lots of things players needed to imagine themselves. They needed to translate the pixelated environments, characters and bosses to real locations, real people and battles in their own mind. But as technology grows, so does the developer's ability to make their full vision a reality, with each console generation allowing more and more to be directly presented to the player, and thus leaving less and less things to the player's imagination. Look at those Unreal 5 visuals. The future of gaming is looking more and more real. So in short, the growth of technology and the way AAA developers are able to fully utilize that technology to make games more real and immersive is definitely one positive evolution. And it will only keep evolving from here into the future. While AAA studios keep pushing the boundaries on a technological front, it is really the indie game scene that does all the innovation on a gameplay front. It makes sense. AAA games are way too expensive to make. It's much safer for studios to just do the same thing they know will work over and over. There's no risk involved that way. So luckily for us, the indie game scene exists, and oh boy has it grown so much from how it used to be. With free-to-use engines like Unity and Unreal, and the internet being filled with tutorials and guides, pretty much anyone can make a game these days. And it shows, cause hundreds upon hundreds of new indie games are released every single day. So unlike AAA companies, indie studios are pretty much forced to innovate and invent new exciting gameplay. Otherwise, there is no way for their game to stand out above all the rest. In this battle royale of indie titles happening every single day, only the truly innovative and fun games survive, which results in not only more fun games for us to play, but also results in AAA companies taking notes about what works in the indie scene and then taking it to the AAA scene to continue working on the concepts with higher budgets. An example for this, and pretty much the one that took the game industry by storm the most, is the Battle Royale genre, which was actually invented by one creative gamer with the alias of PlayerUnknown. He first created Battle Royale modes as mods for DayZ and Arma 3, and continued to work as a consultant on the popular H1Z1 Battle Royale mode. After that, he started working at an indie studio called Bluehole, and created a standalone game that would completely represent his vision with PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, the very first full release Battle Royale game. Soon after its enormous success, AAA studios had to jump on the bandwagon and collectively made an insane amount of money off the back of this one very creative mod maker. Aside from that, the ever-increasing indie scene is also known to have saved tons of old genres from the past, like Metroidvanias for example. And boy are they better than they have ever been. And how can we forget about survival horror? How the indie scene pretty much carried this genre on its back for years after AAA studios completely gave up on them in the PS3, Xbox 360 era. What the fuck? So in short, indies absolutely made a positive impact on the gaming scene as a whole, and will continue to do so into the future as technology becomes even more accessible. I can't wait to see what creative experiences devs from all over the world will be able to come up with. Rockstar Games. Everyone knows them. They are one of the most acclaimed developers in the AAA gaming space, and oh boy do they swim in cash. Grand Theft Auto Online still milks the shit out of its player base every single day, earning Rockstar potentially millions of dollars a month, with the game being an absolute pay-to-win mess. Yet despite all that, Rockstar Games still has its reputation as being a legendary studio, while EA, Ubisoft and Blizzard for example have absolutely been dragged through the mud by the general public for monetizing all their games so heavily. But what is it that Rockstar has that the other studios don't have? Well, I'd argue it's Red Dead Redemption 2. This game released in 2018 and was praised by the gaming public as an absolute masterpiece, winning tons of awards. In its standalone single player component, not a single microtransaction is to be found. No early access bullshit, no paid cosmetics, no cutting it up in parts and selling stuff later. It's just a good old single player experience you pay full price for, and in return you get the full game with nothing held back from you. So Rockstar seems to have a really great approach to its business. On one hand, Grand Theft Auto Online still keeps pumping money for them as a live service, and on the other hand, the variety gamer audience was made happy with a high quality AAA single player game, one they'll remember for years. And I heavily believe this might become a popular approach in the gaming industry. One thing we have to accept: every major publisher, and I say every single one of them, will keep trying to get a fully monetized live service off the ground. Capcom will try to get a successful Resident Evil multiplayer game off the ground, despite nobody really caring. Square Enix will want to go even further and get an NFT live service off the ground. Good luck to them. Blizzard, well, will just keep being Blizzard. And even PlayStation Studios, known for their high quality single player games, has announced that every major one of their first party studios has at least one multiplayer title in development. Despite all that looking really terrifying, single player audiences don't have anything to fear because of one simple reason: live services are risky as hell. If they succeed, they will make more money than anything else in the world. But if they fail hard, and oh boy, the gaming community doesn't easily forget. So in conclusion, AAA single player games will simply never disappear. Releasing one won't make you as much money as a live service would, but if you're a competent game studio, releasing one will be a more assured success. It will still make lots of money, the most vocal gaming community will love you for it, and non-live service games are also more likely to get you to score during award season. And a remake is an even easier win for both publisher and gamer. If you look around, you'll see that most major publishers still release so many high quality single player games for this very reason. And if you don't see it, well, you just need to look around more. Let's end this video on a shorter topic, but a fundamental truth that lots of gamers seem to ignore. Not all live services are bad. Yep, it's true, lots of them are hot garbage, but not all. Final Fantasy XIV, Destiny, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Valorant, Apex, Fortnite, and so many more that I can't mention them all. They all have dedicated communities for a reason, and they do very well even 10 years after their respective release. And with the growth of technology, the potential these more social-oriented games have to grow and evolve far outweigh the potential for growth in the single-player market. Despite all that, when looking at discourse about games, all that is talked about is how live services are stupid and how they pretty much ruin everything. And that's because, of course, the angry mob of single-player variety gamers is far more vocal in that field than the people that actually enjoy these types of games, which in a way is understandable because for a time it looked really bad. It looked like the entire gaming industry was about to shift more towards multiplayer and leave single player in the dust. But like discussed earlier, when you look around, 2023 is filled to the brim with awesome single player games. So all I'm trying to say is it's clear the industry will keep providing both types of games. So there's no need to shit on every single live service that comes out anymore. Not dismiss one immediately just because it has that live service label. If you do that, well, maybe you might miss out on some genuinely fun game experiences that are also just fun for a variety gamer to play for a month and then move on from. So in conclusion, when looking at AAA gaming, we all like to imagine a really bleak future, but it could be a lot brighter than we think. And like presented, in some regards, it's actually evolving in a positive direction. So on that note, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. As a YouTube channel that just started creating content, it is heavily appreciated. What direction do you think video games are headed in? Leave a comment down below, I'm interested to see other people's opinions on this topic. Thank you all for watching and catch you all later.